All right, we ready?
You're good, man.
Okay. Song's called Love in the Dark. Well, I once saw your light on a revival hill, a sinner's delight as I beg my heart to still. And I walked out into the night on a teenage thrill. I never meant to close my eyes till your light grew dim. Now, Lord, I ain't asking for a brand new start. I just need some direction on finding love in the dark. I went out to disciple, to set the mountains ablaze, and I had every answer. I knew just how to be saved. I thought I wanted to be a preacher. Maybe I just wanted a stage, 'cause I was called to the floor, didn't have nothing to say. And I used to clench my candle, I used to pray for a spark. Now I'm just content in the struggle, I'm finding love in the dark. In my youth it was a waste on the ancient scrolls, when I decided not to hang on the great unknown. It ain't that I'm looking toward the grave, Lord, I look to hope. I'm just praying that the rivers of grace do downward flow. This light ain't always shine. I never figured out my heart. I just feel through my midnights, finding love in the dark. Okay, I wrote this song's called Appalachian Farewell. It's about whenever, I don't know if I ever really told you my whole life story or whatever, but this is, I wrote this about leaving the mountains when I was up in the mountains, you know. It's a really desolate place. I was in this really backwoods. It was a hole in the ground. They said it was built in a meteorite crater. It was totally surrounded by mountains. It's called Middlesboro. I pastored a little church up there, and I also reached my wit's end up there and came to the end of one. The man that I was died up there, and I left there a different person, you know. Seriously, this is brand new, brother. You're the first person that's ever heard this. Rays of the morning poured like Kentucky bourbon over the Cumberland gale. wise to the hollers, the wasted counted dollars, and the long cold train tracks. And the dew is still rising like the ghost of dead miners from their early black lung graves. As I gazed at the horizon, I was quietly resigning on I'm stuck in this valley another day. There ain't nothing as lonesome as these dead mornings. They so thick with heavy fall. And like these mountainsides wrecked with strip mines, Lord, I don't feel like I belong. I don't feel like I belong. Well, the kids are all wasted. They got subpar educations, and nobody seems to care. Their futures couldn't be worse. Their prospects they curse. It's coal mining or welfare. The mountain ridges surround this old godforsaken town like stony prison walls. The only thing redemptive in their angry expletives is their slow Kentucky drawl. And I don't want to stop believing that someday I'll believe in, like the smoke out these black dust hills, that one day my prayers are gonna end in the swell of an Appalachian farewell. An Appalachian farewell. An Appalachian farewell. You know, I'm going over to, you know Josh and Emily Smith, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going over there next Wednesday, and we're going to record in his studio.
Yeah.
Now that I've got a label or something, I'm supposed to direct people to my official releases.
Yeah.
So,
can you talk a little bit about that?
what's that?
Your label?
Oh,
and your
yeah,
involvement
man.
with it? What's been going on?
Yeah, for sure. 3 months ago, I signed on with this label called Skate Mountain Records in Fairhope, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And they're headed up by this guy named Scott Lumpkin and his wife Kate. And he's a movie producer. He produces, well, you can look him up on IMDb or whatever. He's produced a whole bunch of stuff. He's a really great guy, great family. He's got, I think, 5 kids. Anyway, I think about a year and a half, or maybe somewhere, give or take, they started a label, and they've signed a musician down there by the name of Jimmy Lumpkin, and they have a band with him called the Revival. So it's Jimmy Lumpkin and the Revival. That was their first artist they signed. And then you may know the Underhill Family Orchestra. They're kind of like staples in Mobile, but they're one of those bands that are from Mobile, but they may only play Mobile once every 6 months or something. You know, they do. They're really, really good, man. Like really good. You should check them out. You would definitely dig them. It's like progressive indie rock kind of thing. And then I don't know if you know the Red Clay Strays. You know the Red Clay Strays? They're a newer band, but they got this guy Brandon Coleman. That's like he's the real deal, you know. And they're writing some good songs and kind of like Southern rock.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got this other guy they just signed about the same time they signed me. Was this guy from, I want to say he's from Boston, but his name is Avi Jacob. He's
Avi,
yeah, like AVI. Yeah, that may be just like performing as, I don't know, or it may be his real name. I don't know, man. But he does like folk stuff, you know, and then they sign me. So, and you know what I do, but yeah. So I recorded a record up in Nashville with my friend Sean Byrne, the same guy that actually produced my White Trash Lipstick record.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just about to self-release it about 3 or 4 months ago. You know, I was just gonna put it out on my own, like I did White Trash Lipstick, and do all the
going out and playing shows and selling it.
Yeah, it's like what I did with that one, you know,
Mm-hmm.
which is, yeah, there's no way to make money doing that. But, you know, I don't do this for money anyway. But anyway, I was about to put it out, and then I met Scott, and, you know, we started talking, and then I let him listen to my record, and they dug it, so I got a deal on it, and yeah, I think we're gonna release it somewhere in January is the plan right now.
Okay.
But that's kind of fluid, though. I think I just got a publicist. Her name's Michelle Roche, and she's from Athens. But she's worked with a bunch of really cool people, and really, you know, big labels, and done a lot of cool stuff. She mentioned working with the Flat Duo Jets and stuff in the past.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was like, man, that's right up my alley. You know, love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we've been working together now for like a week, and so I've got like a team behind me. Last time me and you spoke, it was just kind of flying solo, but now I've got people behind me, and man, it's a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so much it feels like I finally got a little bit of momentum going, you know.
Mm-hmm. Despite the scathing reviews of the Englishman out there.
yeah. We won't mention his name, but yeah there are.
But that's one of the things that we kind of were talking about earlier before we were recording, is just how you have that. You can have polarizing effects with people. Like, some people are just completely drawn to your energy, your intensity, and just what you do on stage, you know, and just kind of leaving it all out there.
Yeah.
Whereas other people are just turned off of it for whatever reason, because it's outside the realms of what they're traditionally used to handling. Exactly. I guess
it is, man, and people aren't really accustomed to seeing that. Well, maybe not accustomed, but some people don't enjoy seeing people get emotional,
Mm-hmm.
you know, And I'm not.
Which is totally, to me, against what music is about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But it was almost, I mean, it was the same way when I was preaching. I mean, when I was preaching, I was the guy that, stood up on the pews and would wave a handkerchief and would preach until my voice was gone, week after week. And a lot of people don't go to those kind of churches, they're just,
Whereas when I was a kid, my parents, brought me along to church and stuff like that, and that's exactly the kind of church I wanted to go to. I would have been right at home at your sermons.
yeah, well, some people like it, some people don't, and it's the same thing. I think I'm experiencing the same thing now with the way that I'm perform. I mean, it really has shut a lot of doors. You wouldn't, I mean, from the outside looking, in, I guess it may appear that, it's not easy for me to get to play as often as I do. Like a lot of doors get shut, but because of the way that I perform. But hey, man, the thing, it's like I was telling you before we started recording, I'm not wearing any mask or nothing, I'm not playing a part, so it's not like I'm just going to change what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do what I love to do, and I'm just being real. And I write songs not to entertain but to communicate, and if I can't communicate through my song, then I'm really not interested in playing, because well, number one, I'm not an entertainer, I really suck at singing and I suck at playing the guitar, and so that's not maybe, I don't entertain because number one, I can't, and number two, I really don't want to. I like to try to communicate a message, and in the song, or tell a story, or there to be some purpose, in the song other than just, hey, that made me feel good. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I could listen in my car on my way to work, and it'd be bearable.
Mm-hmm.
You want something more that's kind of more gripping to people.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That's really, that's what I'm going for, man.
Which is weird because I think about people like who would think to turn down Joe Cocker because it's like, oh, wait, man, like we need to tone it down a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like, but that's what I want to hear.
Oh yeah,
a guy
man.
That's just leaves himself almost.
Me too. I mean, could you imagine going into the local catfish house and seeing like a Sun House sitting in the corner playing guitar?
Right.
You can't eat catfish to Sun House. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It would be disturbing. You wouldn't be able to hold down catfish while watching. You know what I'm saying? It's too emotional. And that's what when I began to write songs, that's what my influence. People like that, like Bob Dylan. You can't eat catfish and barbecue with Bob Dylan sitting in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine? You sit down and you eat catfish to some guy singing, wasting away in Margaritaville or something, but not like, blowing in the wind. You know what I'm saying? You gotta put your catfish down for a minute. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's kind of, it's limiting, but it's also it's also opens doors as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's really open to,
some people want an experience where it's safe, it feels traditional, it's what they're used to.
Yeah.
It's within the realm of where their music taste lies. And then other people want to put on an album that you don't really listen with other people.
Yeah.
You throw on a Pink Floyd album and you just turn the lights out and you just lay in your living room and you just experience it from front to back or something like that,
Oh yeah.
But So I understand where people come with the whole idea of wanting people that are marketable and
Oh man,
reachable on a wide level.
absolutely.
But
Like,
it's like the music industry is hard enough to work in as it stands on its own. I mean, it's brutal, you know.
oh yeah,
And to be going out there and doing it in such a way that isn't the way that you want to do it, isn't true to your actual creativity. That to me is worse than the industry itself.
man, tell me about it, brother. You are preaching the choir. And let me say, I mean, let me just plug my label. You know, not not one time has that ever
Plug away, man.
that ever arisen. Like they just tell me to keep doing my thing, and that's really liberating.
Mm-hmm.
To I've never really thought in terms of marketability, and man, even when I say stuff like this, sometimes I think like, man, that sounds like I'm trying to sound cool. I'm not really trying. I really just, I wrote, and part of that is, I've been writing songs for 15 years, man, but I was too scared to play them for anybody. So like marketability was the absolute least of my concerns. I was scared to even play them for someone outside of my wife and my mom. So I never was concerned about marketability, and I still really ain't. It's more about making something beautiful that has a message in it.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's what's magic about music. When you can make a message beautiful.
Mm-hmm. What would you say was different about recording this last time in Nashville as opposed to your first album?
Well, that's a good question, man. I'm glad you asked that, because this new record is going to sound totally different than my first record. My first record I recorded after about a month and a half after playing my first gig ever. All of those songs were songs that were really untested. They were unproven. Now when I write a song, I take it out to the shows with me, and I put it to the proven grounds. I see if people respond. I see how people take it, and some of them get dumped, or some of them get changed. And then some of them get tweaked, and some of them, some of them I know. Okay, these are good. These are the ones that easily relatable. By people that hear them. And I didn't have that with White Trash Lipstick. It was I had played a songwriter competition, met Sean Byrne, who also played that night, who ended up producing that record. He's like, "Hey man, have you ever played music? Where do you play?" And I was like, I played a few open mics, and I played the open mic over at Government Street Grocery a few times. And he was like, "Well, come up to Nashville, and we'll record a record, And so I played one gig at the Listening Room in Mobile, and then I went off and did it. And so the songs on that record, I'm extremely proud with how they came out, but it's like a snapshot of me. White Trash Lipstick was like a snapshot of me when right as I was first starting. And my new record is called Cotton Fields and Blood for Days. It's gonna be it's a lot. The songs in it are a lot more. They're more proven, and they're the way that I perform. Like a lot of stuff on White Trash Lipstick, I don't even perform. When I do perform those songs, I perform them differently. I've changed lyrics on a few of them, Whereas this new record I got is more me currently. But if you talk to me in another year, I may say, that was me then, and I'm doing this and other. But yeah, Cotton Fields and Blood for Days, man, I'm super proud of it. The first record was like a upright bass and some acoustic lead, and maybe a mandolin or something here and there. But this new record's going to have a little bit of that, but then it's got some crazy like Tom Waits-ish kind of production on a few songs. We got like some screaming guitars, and I wrote a song called "I Wish I Was a Punk Rocker," and it's got like this whole punk rock feel to it. We got and then we got a couple of songs with some cello. I got a lady named Courtney Blackwell who plays with her husband in a band called Honey Boy and Boots, but she also plays with Dylan LeBlanc and the Pollies. Mm-hmm. She came to the studio up there in Nashville, and she put in some cello on a couple of songs, and so layered it. Mm-hmm. It sounds really full.
Yeah.
So it's got there's a broad range, a broad mix of song textures. I'm really proud of it, and I can't wait till we finally get it out there. But when you're dealing with a label, there's a lot of other stuff that has to be and done to make sure that it gets done right. Mm-hmm. And gets me out to a bigger audience. I've never been on like any of Spotify or iTunes, but that's all going to change now. That it's going to be available for streaming services and all that, which I don't really know much about, but
yeah,
it's cool to have people that do know about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I'm really, really like excited about the future, man. I'm like really excited, and there's a lot of things like that still in the works that that I wouldn't feel comfortable mentioning them right now because they're not landed, but just a lot of really big things that that we're working on for this new record that could be game changers. Mm-hmm. Take my music out to large audiences, which is all I want, man. Like mm-hmm. you said, it's polarizing. Well, the more people that hear it, the more more might get turned on to it.
Yeah, you got to look for the side of the fence of the people that are really into what it is,
Right. Yeah, I know what I do it for everybody, and that's okay. I realize that you don't have to like my music to be cool. You know what I'm saying? You can just not like what I do. And like when I first started, it was kind of offensive, but and I now I get it. So there's some people that just aren't. And it's like that in Mobile. Like, I've plateaued in Mobile. Like everybody that attends music shows in Mobile, they've already heard me, and they either like me or they don't like me, and there's nothing I can do, like, to change that. Mm-hmm. So, which is what's led me, really. That's what led me to start leaving town because, on the Gulf Coast, there's only a certain amount of folks that actually attend live music events, and after about a year and a half of playing Mobile and the Gulf Coast regularly, I've pretty much played to everyone who will come see me, and out of the people that actually attend shows. And I don't even know how we got off on that, but
well, I was reading some of your dates coming up. You're going to quite a few places. And
yeah.
You told me were you going as far out as Ohio? You're saying?
I'm going to Ohio in November. Yeah, Indiana and Ohio, and then I'm going to try to come back down through West Virginia. But
thing keeps slipping away from me. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm going this weekend. I'm going to be in New Orleans, and then going up to Atlanta next week. I'm going out to Galveston next weekend, playing the Old Quarter. I don't know if you ever have you ever listened to Townes Van Zandt?
I've heard of the guy.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest songwriters ever. You should totally check out Townes Van Zandt.
Just Towns like Towns?
With an E after the N, so it's TOWNES. Yeah, Van Zant. He's one of my greatest inspirations lyrically. But anyway, Towns Van Zant's best record is called Live at the Old Quarter. So the Old Quarter is still there, and actually the man who owns the Old Quarter is named Rex Bell, and Towns Van Zant wrote a song about him called Rex's Blues, and the guy still owns the Old Quarter over there.
Oh wow!
And so yeah, I called him up one day and I said, "Hey, I'm Abe Partridge. I play music, and I love Towns Van Zant, and I want to play the Old Quarter." And one thing led to another, and I ended up getting a gig out there. So
Nice.
yeah, I'm so stoked about it, man. It'd be like one of those landmarks, you know. Not just, you know, the show may be horrible. I mean, I have no reason to believe that it's like a songwriter's venue. I'm actually opening for this killer songwriter named Susan Gibson out of Texas, and but just to be able to, you know, play the Old Quarter, and you know, it's one of those big, you know, one of those big
Personal accomplishments in a lot of sense.
Yeah, you know, playing the Old Quarter is going to be big for me. You know, it may not be big for anybody else, but for me, it's going to be huge.
Yeah. So do you just reach out to a lot of places if you're just trying to play and you just...
Dude, you know, I go home from work every day and I start sending out emails, and a lot of like that gig I got just from cold call, man. You know, a lot of other gigs I just network with other songwriters. You know, I play I try to play a lot of festivals when I can. I'm playing one of the coolest festivals next month in Austin, or right outside Austin, called the Dripping Springs Songwriter Festival.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, it's gonna be that was a complete, like, total life changer last year as far as songwriting goes. I made connections there that have really been invaluable, you know. I mean, I met guys there that got me into this songwriting group that I was in, where you know, you write a song once a week and kind of hold each other accountable, and which totally changed my creative, you know, muscle. And now I've been doing that, you know, for about a year, and it's been a game changer, you know. And so I'm headed back up there, and then so when I'm there, I just meet other songwriters and find the ones that I mesh with, and, you know, we try to help each other out, you know. And that's the way that's mostly the way that I, you know, get out and about as much as I do. But yeah, I just leave out every weekend, dude, and go, you know. I put a lot of miles on that Prius, man.
As far as creative writing goes, where do you feel is your best space to write, to create?
Dude, I drive 1 hour to work and 1 hour home every day, and I cook up all kinds of ideas on the road there and on the road back, because it's just me and the Prius and Jesus, you know. So you get to come
the
up
Prius and Jesus.
Yeah.
Album number 3 right
hey,
there.
dude, there's the next line, dude. That's the next song. We don't let that one out on the podcast.
Me, the Prius, and Jesus.
But yeah, I come up with all kind of crazy ideas there, and I don't know. I just keep my eyes open and my ears open, you know. And sometimes something will kind of, you know, some words just kind of are like musical, or some phrases, some ideas are just kind of musical. And when they hit you and they're musical, I just write them down, and then I'll try to build a song around it. You know, that's how I do it.
Yeah. And your music is really heavily lyric based. So, and from what it sounds like the creation process of a song usually starts with lyrics for you, as opposed to maybe the guitar.
Well, some of them do. You know, some of I never like sit down with a guitar and write lyrics at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I'll pick up a guitar and I'll play around with the guitar and I'll say, "Whoa, this progression is really cool."
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of hear, okay, this progression needs, this needs something very melancholy, which is almost always the case in my songs. But and then I'll kind of write lyrics to it, but not at the same time. Like I can't sit down with a guitar and play and write lyrics at the same time. I either like come up with a cool melody or I come up with words first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I would say that's usually, for me, it's almost always with the guitar first. That's usually where it starts for me.
Yeah.
Usually lyrics, sometimes it'll be like a hook or a chorus or something like that, and then off of that a melody will come, and then if there's like a central theme to it, then maybe some other lyrics will come. But I feel like for me, lyrics always come after the piece is kind of finished in itself, when I have a feel of how everything else is going, instrumentally speaking.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important, especially in the kind of music that you play. You play a lot of riff based stuff, right? Would I be correct in saying that?
Yeah, I would guess so. I'm varied. Like, people. One of the things that people told me whenever me and Eddie Dixon did that little 10-piece,
Yes.
10-track demo album.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the biggest things I got that I was so happy about, because is that each song it's everything's different.
Yeah.
And that's what I like most about artists.
What was that one about Oklahoma?
Oklahoma. That's it.
Oh yeah, I like that one, dude.
Now that's a song, okay, so where it started off as the guitar, and then sometimes whenever I'm doing that, whenever I'm in the flow, I'll just sing as I'm just starting to create the guitar stuff, and I'll record it, and I'll just sing whatever, and then I'll go back and I'll listen to what I sang, and I'll pick up the pieces of consciousness. What was I talking about?
Yeah.
And that's one of those songs for me that I'm most proud of, because one, it's traditional blues in a lot of sense, but also because it feels like something that came entirely not from me. An original piece of work that I don't feel like I can. And after kind of going back through and just playing around, singing improv to it a couple times, and going back and listening and piecing and writing things down, and then fleshing out the story, like writing more lyrics based on the lyrics that I had kept, it came out to be this story of just what I took to be this guy who kind of had a relationship with two different women, where he was here in one place and he had this one life, and then he would go off and play music or whatever he was doing, and then on the road it's kind of this reflection, and he doesn't know what he's going to do when he gets back to where he's going, because he's so conflicted with all these things. And I'm just like, I didn't have that life experience, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I feel like that came from somewhere else, and if it wasn't me, then what was it? And for someone who really appreciates traditional blues music and who tries to go back and tap into all that stuff, sometimes I just accept the fact that I have to attribute it to somebody else who came before me, whether it was just an accumulation of the experiences musically that I've heard, or that I just picked something up out of space, just received something. Somebody, something or someone said, this is for you.
Dude,
and then I turn around and I say, this is for everybody.
Mm-hmm. I have the same experience, man. Like I've wrote songs. Like I got this song I wrote called Colors, which a lot of people that are into my songs, they think that's my best song. And dude, I promise you, I don't remember writing it. It was, I remember like writing the words on the paper and thinking about it for a few, but like some of those lines in there, I don't even remember like me, like really dwelling on it. It was just kind of like I wrote them down, and I thought the song was, didn't really think it was that good. and but everybody loves it, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be the single on my new record.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, like I feel the same way. It's like it's almost just like it's like a spiritual thing sometimes when they just kind of come.
Mm-hmm.
There's some that are forced, and I have forced some, and I still think that they're good too. But then there's some that just like it's almost magic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's always good. I think it's always good to keep that too.
Mm-hmm.
To keep that mindset. It's okay for it to be magic. And it probably should be magic.
Mm-hmm.
It's like as long as you have that, as long as it's kind of that wonder about it, and there's it's coming from a place that you can't identify. That's a good thing,
Mm-hmm.
It makes it, I don't know, it makes it more exciting when they do come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because everybody else is kind of wondering, how did he do that? How did you do that? And secretly, you're wondering,
yeah, yeah,
the same thing in a way.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I totally know where you're coming from.
And that's the thing that creates timeless music. I feel like that when you go back and you listen to John Lee Hooker or Mississippi Fred McDowell, there's been some stuff where, like, one time I was kind of out of my mind, and I was driving my car, and Cashmere came on, and it was just too intense for me, and I was like, I gotta change this up. So I put as I'm talking, I'm trying to remember. It was we talked about him when
Lightning Hopkins.
that's it.
Wow.
Lightning Hopkins.
Dude, you can't go wrong with Lightning Hopkins.
That's what I'm talking about. Now I just threw one of his albums in, and went from just having like a too intense Hammer of the Gods experience to hearing that just stripped down acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And then I just found myself crying because I really got absorbed into what he was saying.
Yeah.
And it was just this crazy transition, and it's
Dude, I'm so glad to hear you say that, man.
and it's stuff like that. I mean, those are old recordings.
Oh yeah.
And just the fact that you'd be able to just, figure that out off the top of your head.
Dude,
But that was just sitting here.
Dude, I've listened to, if I haven't heard the Lightning Hopkins catalog at least 10 times, then I would be surprised that, yeah. I mean, that I love that guy. That's another one of those, I mean, it's all heart stuff,
Mm-hmm.
There was no attempt to, to be commercial with that stuff. It was just like this display of raw human emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And it just translates through time,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think, I may be wrong, but I think in like 500 years, people will still be listening to that stuff. I may be wrong, but I would doubt it. I think there will still be people that because it's so deeply human at the core of what we are,
Mm-hmm. Which bugs the shit out of me that we, so much of what we have now is just a saturation of just. I'm like, you're not going to be listening to this in a couple months.
Oh no,
You know what I mean?
Just about everything that we call commercial is that way.
Mm-hmm.
It is a fad.
Mm-hmm.
It is new
It's
kids on the
designed
block
for some
dude.
sort of product placement or
Yeah.
some sort of age group demographics, something that's happening, and
it will not
right
stand.
now.
There are a few artists I think that are making music that will, but they are few and far between.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I say that, but I know there's there's nobody to help them publicize themselves in this world that we live in. The music industry, as we have talked about, is so hard to make any money in. The people that are unmarketable go unnoticed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man. I mean, I think that because I've done the same thing. I've cried listening to Lightning Hopkins. I've cried listening to Townes Van Zandt, I've never turned on the radio and cried to any of that crap,
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, something about it, man. Something about, like, there is, it's out there. You just gotta dig for it, I think there are artists out there doing it. I mean, I know some are, Have you ever heard John Moreland? John Moreland came through Mobile, I want to say about 6 months ago, and I kid you not, I cried like a baby. And because it was so moving, like he's a huge, humongous guy. Like, he could not fit through that door. And he gets up there and he has a Martin D18 and it looks like a child's guitar. And he sits up there, dude. And whenever he came in, I'm sitting on the front row, and I was only there because some of my friends were like, "You really got to go see this guy." And they said John Moreland's just a, songwriter extraordinaire. So I'm like, okay. And he walks in, and I'm like, oh my God, and his appearance it's
Noticeable.
It's not what you're expecting, going in. And then he just opens his mouth and he starts singing some of the most poetically sad songs, just drowning in emotion. And he had no in-between song banner. He told no jokes. He didn't introduce any of his songs. It was just like one song, another song, another song, another song. Then he got up and he waved and he just walked out. And dude, it was almost spiritual, man. And I'm just sitting there with my my jaw on the floor. And he's a socially awkward guy, But dude, when he's one that's got it, But
tell me his name one more time.
His name is John Moreland, Moreland. But yeah, he's freaking great, man.
And see, that's kind of how I wish it could be, of you just go on the stage and there's like not a lot of in between. You just kind of do your thing and then you leave, and it creates that mystique of just, what did I just see? Where's that guy going? I want to talk to him. No, you can't talk to him.
Oh no, he went.
He's going home.
He's gone. Yeah,
And I think bands like Zeppelin and Tool, who have that where they're just pulled back. They don't want to do a lot of interviews or whatever. There's different groups across the time where that lack of knowing what's going on drew people even more.
Yeah,
we're not going to do the music videos. We're not going to do the commercials. You have to buy our albums.
Yeah.
You remember when you used to buy albums?
Oh,
you have to buy the album.
Yeah, those days are gone, man. We live in the information age, dude.
I'm telling you, I still do CDs. Like, a lot of the CDs that you buy now, they give you the audio rip or whatever too. But like, I've got the new Queens of the Stone Age. I got the new Prophets of Rage, and
cool.
And the Foo Fighters. The Foo Fighters album is great, and I've been worried about that, but it's Dave Grohl and the team. They made a darker album again. In a way, and it's got the dark and light, and I'm just a huge fan of Dave, so looking forward to him at Voodoo for sure.
Yeah, cool, man.
But yeah, I still do CDs, man, and I've got a CD player that I tote around, like an old Sony boombox.
Yeah,
if I just need to have something somewhere. But yeah, that are in the car.
Yeah, I buy a lot. I buy records when, like, if I'm go to see a band and I like them and they have a record, I'll buy the record. And like, I do have a few CDs too, but it's mostly from my friends. Like, my friends have CDs, and they're like, hey, they'll swap CDs. But my new record, I'm primarily putting on vinyl.
Really?
Yeah, we're going to do vinyl and download. It's going to come with a download card,
Okay.
And then you can stream it. But I think we're going to have some CDs made up, but not a terrible terrible amount of them, because man, I'm glad you're buying CDs, but most people aren't.
Yeah, I know I'm a rarity.
You are.
Yeah.
You're one of the rare guys.
David Elliott from WLOX, he came over. He's like, "What are you doing with all these books? Like,
Yeah.
What are you talking about?" It's like, Kindle, man.
Kindle.
Yeah. He's like, "I swore I would never do it, and then my wife bought me one, and that's all I do now."
Yeah.
I'm like, but I want people to walk in and have something to talk about,
Yeah.
See Anthony Kiedis, Scar Tissue, and
Yeah, so I noticed that too.
Slaughterhouse 5, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
Books about traveling the world, vagabonding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I tell you, I'm trying to get in a band situation. I'm trying to go mobile.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Those, like, the plan is, those Ford Transits.
Yeah, those big tall ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were bestsellers in Europe for 40 years. Ford was producing them over in Europe, and they were the number one selling transit van. They just started putting them out in 2013 here. Now they're the top sellers here.
Yeah.
So super customizable. I mean, you can snag one up pretty cheap, and you can get a high top. They've got the cargo model or a passenger model, just depending on what you want. And you go on YouTube, and there's all these people, a lot of young people and stuff like that, but who just are converting these things and traveling on it. And they're pretty good on gas. They're very well rated. And I'm thinking of
I have a friend named Carrie Ray. She's a songwriter out of Indiana. I'm actually playing a show with her in November. I want to say it's a Transit. I'm not sure. It could be that Dodge thing.
The Dodge ProMaster or something like that.
But anyway, she basically has a bed, like a bunk, and she has like curtains up. She can live in that thing,
Sure.
And she's traveling, playing
doing the road life,
playing shows. I mean, if I was a single man, dude, that would sound like the thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame you a bit, brother. That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Adventurous.
Yeah. And it's all, for me, it's about just getting your ducks in order, and trying to get the money situation to kind of get it. No, I don't want a lot of debt on the road.
Yeah.
And I'm finishing up the first edit of this book to India that I wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm about to start putting the manuscript out to some people just to get some feedback, figure out where the weaknesses are, tighten it up.
Is it about your trip there?
Mm-hmm.
Nice, man.
Yeah, just the time I spent there, and Jimmy Watson, who I went with, who's kind of a character in her own right, and just the people I met. I mean, I was over there for the presidency when Trump and Hillary were the day of, and just all the other stuff that was going on. There was a lot of other stuff in Dharamsala where the Dalai Lama lives, and so
that's awesome.
Just trying to finish that out, and I mean, it's another road tool. Music's a road tool. Podcasting's a road tool.
Right.
That all that stuff in itself, and just the act of going out and traveling and living that lifestyle, I feel like is enough to get me to network with other podcasters, and I feel like that's the way to go. Like Tim Ferriss, Tools of the Titan, right there.
I've read a book by him before.
Probably the 4 Hour Work Week.
Yeah, but not that one.
Yeah, that's his newest one right there, which was really good. Tools of the Titan, but he was talking about how when he did his first book, that 4 Hour Work Week, he didn't want to do any of the traditional, like the way they used to do it, where you would go to like a bookstore and give like a book speech or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even know what they're called.
Yeah.
The people would show up, and then you would just, I guess, talk about the book, and then some people would buy the book if they wanted, and you'd sign it. And I just thought, man, what an incredibly ineffective way to do it, especially since now like bookstores are becoming dinosaurs. They're going out of business, like Blockbusters and everything else. And so podcasts were a thing that were coming up. So that's what he started doing, and networking with bloggers, and doing blog posts and stuff like that. And he's an interviewer guy. He's got his own podcast and stuff. So he would start hitting people up, other authors, and start the the process of the mentor, what he calls like the mentor and student relationship, and he would just ask, what would you say as an author, what's the biggest way to kind of promote, and they bloggers and podcasters and stuff like that, which is right up my alley. I mean, I would love to go around and, you know, just talk with other people and be on other folks' shows and stuff like that. So I'm thinking if I have enough going on that I could probably trick some people into letting me into their studio or something.
Yeah.
So,
Cool, man. That sounds awesome.
yeah.
Well, I'll be rooting for you back here on the home front, brother.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a matter of the way you can do it. I mean, what would you do? I mean, if you really started getting some attention and needed to travel more, you know, do you think you would just do flights and just go out?
Oh.
And I mean, when you go into Ohio, are you going to just drive there?
I'm driving, man. I got
Driving.
a Prius.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping that the day comes where I just essentially live on the road,
Mhm.
playing music. I mean, that's the whole part of this thing that I enjoy. You know, I enjoy writing songs and I like playing them for people.
Mhm.
That's really like that's what really makes me do all this stuff. That's why I put all the hours and hours and hours and hours in of traveling and you know, all the business side of it and
Mhm.
the you know, losing all the money that I've lost on it, you know, because I've been doing it 2 years. I've yet to, you know, make any money at it, but you know, that what keeps me going is just playing. So I mean, yeah, if I wasn't, you know, if I didn't have a family, I got a wife and 3 kids that I provide for, and that's number one. But I hope I sincerely hope the day comes when I can support myself through my art, you know. But you know, that's a long shot, but it ain't gonna keep me from trying, you know.
Yep.
So just keep pressing, man.
Yeah. I met a girl when I was down at Murky Waters watching you play, Amelia Presley.
Amelia Presley, yeah. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
my friend, yeah.
Yeah, she told me she knew you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yes.
sounds like she's doing a little bit of road work.
She's a road warrior, man.
Yeah, I was
She
really
actually, the way, that's a funny story. We actually booked the same show in Dahlonega, Georgia, which happens to be where the biggest gold mine is in the whole United States. But there's a listening room there called the Crimson Moon, which is just an awesome place. And anyway, we booked a show there together, and the people that run the venue are like, "Well, do you know Amelia?" I was like, "I don't think so." And well, actually, they said, "Do you know Amelia?" And I thought that they were talking about a different somebody named Amelia White that I had just that week somebody had said, "Hey, you need to check out." I think her name was Amelia White, and I did, and I was like really taken with some of her tunes. And then whenever that email came, I thought that when they said Amelia Presley, the first thing that came was Amelia. I was like, yeah. And then I realized, wait a minute, this is a different Amelia. And well, come to find out, we only live like 10 miles from each other.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I ended up going over to her place, and we got acquainted, and she's a really sweet, good person, you know. And I think she's out in California right now playing shows, you know. But yeah, she's really cool, man. Yeah, that was cool. That was nice of her to come. She took a video that I ended up putting online, you know, from that night at Murky Waters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's cool. Yeah, I've made a lot of friends, you know, doing this 2 years, you know. 2 years I've met a lot of folks. I mean, my Facebook, you know, went from like 200 friends to like 1,600 friends in 2 years. You know, of course, I don't know half these people. You know,
Yeah, you know,
I just get requests all the time.
Yeah, when the time that I opened for you at the listening room.
Yeah,
That's when I started getting a lot of people from Mobile, and I still get these hits, and from Pensacola too, and like the Florida area.
Yeah, like
Right?
like Destin and Panama City.
Yeah.
I get people like friend requesting me from there all the time,
Yeah.
and I'm just like delete, delete, delete. I don't even know who these people are.
I actually go through and I check these profiles.
Do you?
I do, and because it's usually easy to find the spammers because it's just like videos or like
Right.
it's
Or some very attractive woman.
something like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, not really. You
Yeah,
don't
I'm
wanna be
looking
my
for
friend.
pictures. I'm looking for people that are actually responding to the people, and there's like actual dialogue going on. But I don't know I don't know all the tricks. I'm sure they're slipping under the cracks because I'll accept somebody, and then I'll immediately get like 5 others. I'm like, wait a second.
Dude, tell me about
I
it.
know you guys aren't a fan of the music or anything because
Right.
you're not buying.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, what's going on? And I don't know. There's just no telling with all that stuff. But
I
I mean,
know.
I just hate the idea that there could be somebody that I met through you or through doing like that songwriter thing. Well, you weren't there. That I did a songwriter thing in Destin.
No, yeah, you did it
Yeah.
in Gulf Shores.
Gulf Shores.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and there was all these people there, and I can't remember if they like selected a person or two that was the
Yeah.
point of the competition,
Yeah.
but I didn't make it or whatever. But I was the only person that somebody bought a CD from, and then then I started seeing, and I was just like, I just don't know, and I hate the idea that it could be somebody who actually cares,
Yeah,
a real
Actually
person,
wants to connect
a
with
real person, a real human being, and not a bot. And,
I've seriously thought about going through mine. I just like what I do is like I just unfollow people. If I don't know them, I just unfollow them.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, I'll
That way
accept
on
a
it-
lot of times, but if
And
I
if
don't
they
know,
start
you'll just-
talking too much crap on there, that if they
Yeah.
start talking about Donald Trump and all this and all
Yeah.
American flags and stuff, I'm just like unfollow.
Yeah.
Because I don't need that in my life.
yeah,
But yeah, I don't have anybody on there that pisses me off.
yeah, yeah. It's just a weird way to connect with people, but it's
It
kind
is.
of the way.
I know.
It's
I
kinda the
despise it, dude. I hate it so much, but it is like so ingrained in everything that I do now. It's like you have to have it. I mean, I connect with so many people through that platform.
Mm-hmm.
I get gigs through that platform. People find out about my music through that platform. They know where I'm going to play through that platform. It sucks, man, but nobody goes to abepartridge.com. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's out there and it has all my shows listed on it, no, people just, they don't go to like,
It's easier to have that network where everybody's involved in it, everybody's in on
Yeah.
it, and then just if you get enough likes, then your thing will get aggregated. If somebody is a friend with somebody else, and then
right.
they see it, and then they click on it. Now they're at your page. They follow you.
Yeah.
They might listen to some videos or see a date where you're playing somewhere near them. But that's about the extent. They don't have time to like leave that realm because they got other shit to do on there.
Yeah.
They've got dog pics to, and videos of whatever else to
Tell me about
check
it,
out.
man.
But,
It's so nauseating.
yeah.
Social media is nauseating.
Yeah.
But it's it's the new reality, man.
Yeah. And I guess it does, in a sense, make it easier for guys to have a shot. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're able to get, man. Yeah, like I'm not the biggest fan of what like the internet has done. I mean, I take like there are some bad things that have happened as a result of the internet. I mean, but the good things like far outweigh any of the bad stuff. But yeah, like one of the good things is that a guy like me can put music out and somebody in London, England could be listening to it tomorrow, which that's pretty awesome. But it's also like made it to where people don't go to live shows anymore. You know, it's like the live show is almost that's a dying thing too. You know, I mean, I don't think it'll ever fully die, because when people go, they realize, like, if you go to good shows, it gets addicting. You know, like you want to go back to another good show. In fact, I mean, I went to some good shows when I was a kid. You know, and like I'm always chasing that next killer show. You know. That, yeah, and then some I leave disappointed. I mean, most I leave, you know, like, man. But every now and then, you know, it's like when you finally get to that one good show, it's worth it. But dude, the young people don't go to shows anymore. Like, going to live shows is not a thing that a lot of young people do, and that's kind of scary, you know, because they find music online. They listen to music online. They watch videos online. They find their girlfriends online. They find their boyfriends online. You know, they don't, like, used to, like when I was growing up, you know, if you went out, you could run into a girl. You know what I'm saying? You went out to town, you would go, you know, live music show, you know, and you could mix and mingle. Well, now, you know, people are, you know, downloading apps for that. You know, so yeah, the only people that are actually going to shows are people that want to, you know, which is a kind of a good thing too. You know, there's good and bad in all of it, you know, but I play a lot of shows, man, and I'm usually one of the younger guys in the crowd when I'm playing. And I don't think it's just my music, because I go to a lot of shows too. I go to rock and roll shows. I go to loud punk rock shows, a lot of them. That's really the kind of music I prefer to listen to, like, prefer to watch live, you know.
Like those guys, Sonic Graffiti, that you turned me on to.
Absolutely.
When they played at the Julep Room. Yeah. Was blown away. And they, according to them, you know, it was like a terrible.
That was one of their worst shows. Yeah.
Yeah, and it probably was. I mean, the amp was going out. You know, there was technical difficulties, but yeah, I mean,
that's what I yeah
shredded. You know.
Yeah, dude, that's what I love, man. And that to me, I love to see shows like that where people leave it all out on the floor, and that's most predominant in rock and roll and like punk rock. Though it does happen occasionally with songwriters, you know, not often, you know, but that's the kind of show I try to give. But I love to see, but the back what I was talking about was even at those punk shows, dude, like, and I know I live in Mobile, Alabama, you know, which is, you know, not the haven for rock and roll, but you know, it is I just remember what it was when I was younger to now. Seems like a lot less of the youth are really into that. And maybe I'm just some old dude saying, "Get off my lawn," you know. But I think that's been one of the negative effects of, you know, social media. Everybody live feeds. You know, why do you have to go to a show when you can watch it on your phone?
Yeah, it's about making things convenient now.
Yeah, it's not convenient to leave your house an hour before the show, get cleaned up, go down to a show, pay money to walk into this place. You know, buy an overpriced beer, sit down, listen to this band, who's probably going to get up 30 minutes late. And then you're going to be going home later than you want to go home. You got to get up and go to work the next day or whatever. I mean, but luckily there's still people that really enjoy that. But you know, it's the young. Hopefully something comes along where people start going to live shows or revisit that. But I think that's one of the things that's kind of suffering, you know. But I don't know, man. You know, I love live shows. You know, to me, some of the greatest, most exhilarating times of my life have been at live performances. You know, of all different kinds of music. Just like I was talking about John Moreland. You know,
yeah,
that was a real you know, it was a really good experience. You know, it was
Yeah.
one of the better experiences that I've ever had at a live music event, and that was just a guy with a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Johnny Lang at the last Jazz Fest that I went to. Just
yeah,
one of the best shows I've ever seen. You know?
yeah,
And his albums, I've since gone and checked out some of his albums, and they're just so much tamer than what his presence and performance is on stage. That I'm just
yeah. It's hard to capture, man. Live, you know, when somebody's real good live, it's hard to capture it,
Mhm.
like in a recording,
Yeah.
especially if it's it's hard to capture emotion, you know, in a performance.
Yeah, see them exercise the demons, you know, have it come out of them on the stage at that time. You know,
Yeah,
you know. And then and then I guess that's part of the thrill of going. What makes you want to go back to see another person? Again,
absolutely,
you know?
dude.
I want to see them lose it again. However they're gonna get down this time, you know.
Right.
And whereas this a CD, it becomes just a copy press thing. So you get that one experience from that recording, and you know, kind of going back to what we're talking about, marketability. People want it to be what is something that people are going to want to hear like every time when they hit that repeat button.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whereas live shows, it's a free for all. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So which makes it to me more exciting.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, man. Live music, need to support it.
yeah,
It's great.
yep.
There's what's your favorite venue around here?
Around here, like, are we talking about like the Gulfport Ocean Springs
Yeah.
area in general?
Yeah.
Juke Joint's pretty good.
Yeah, I love the juke joint.
Yeah,
Juke joint is awesome.
yeah. They've got a good outside area. The inside's a little small, but
And they always got a crowd.
expanded
seems
it.
like,
So
too.
yeah, they've got a
Like,
strong fan
Every
base.
time I've ever played there, there was a lot of people there, and I know they wasn't there for us. They were just there. You know.
Yeah. You know where I'd like to play? I'd like to do like the Thirsty Hippo up in Hattiesburg, or like T-Bone's Records. Something
Yeah.
like that.
Man, I've called and tried to get in there. You know, I don't have a huge Hattiesburg following. You know,
Yeah.
but I've actually played once. I've played there. I've played there twice. I played there at there's a listening room in the basement of a church that they have once a month, and it is phenomenal. I played there a couple months back, and then there's the Tavern, which is this grungy rock and roll billiard place,
Mm-hmm.
and I opened for Sonic Graffiti there one time, and that was really cool. But yeah, I would love to play this Thirsty Hippo too, man. But you know, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Is like songwriters probably not the best venue for a songwriter, but you know, I could get the band back together. You know,
Mm-hmm.
get the band back together. But yeah, you know, we had a Psych P show back in August. You know, we did a
Yeah, I saw that.
How
How did that go?
Dude, it was fire, man.
Yeah. A lot of
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I broke my Jaguar, and Dave managed to detune his entire guitar, and it was fun, man. It was a lot of fun, and it was packed. It was a packed house.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who'd you have on bass?
We had no bass player.
No bass.
We did it back like we did it when we first started. It was just a one show, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't I think like we're gonna start it back up. It was just a one show. Let's see if we can remember how to play these 5 songs, and we did. You know, we practiced all day at Skate Mountain.
Yeah.
Skate Mountain has a warehouse over in Daphne where they have like some rooms about this size and that are set up with it's like studio quality stuff, and you just band, and they're completely isolated, sonically isolated. So and there's 3 of them. So we got to go in there, and you could just crank your amp up, and outside nobody can even hear you. You know.
Oh, yeah.
We went in there and ran through our entire set, like 2 or 3 times. I lost my voice, and then I had to go, and we played that show that night, and I could barely even make a sound, dude.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I had to play my songwriter set to open with, you know. So I opened with my songwriter stuff, and I could barely even make a sound, man. But and then it held up long enough. The next day I couldn't hardly speak, but it was fun, man. Yeah.
Can I get you another water?
Oh no, I'm good, brother.
Good?
Yeah, I'm good. Totally good. Yeah.
Cool. Well, man, you want to play a number to take us out?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Let me,
I'm going to go.
Ready? All right, this is a new song I just wrote, and it's called An Ode to My Generation. It's about all us punks that went off and got domesticated. Hope you like it. Were you there when the revolution was still young? Oh, were you there when the revolution was still young? When we set ourselves on fire, not knowing they'd watch us burn. Were you there when the revolution was still young? And were you there when the nonconformists were still cool? Or were you there when the nonconformists were still cool? When we declared our only purpose was to break every rule. Were you there when the nonconformists were still cool? And rock and roll is all we'd accept, and they feared us, and they marked us with an X. Were you even there in our wild youthful haze? Or were you there in our wild and youthful haze? 'Cause now you cut your hair like your father, and you talk about the good old days. Were you there in our wild youthful? Were you there when MTV taught us about suicide? Oh, were you there when MTV taught us of suicide? When we watched as our only voice fought until the day he died? Oh, were you there when MTV taught us of suicide? And then they said that grunge was dead, and revolution was only in our heads. But I was there when the revolution was still young. Yes, I was there when the revolution was still young. But now I just watch as the devil picks us off one by one. But I was there when the revolution was still young. All right, Stefan. There you go, bro. That's 3 brand new songs. Coastal Noise exclusives.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it.